Hello everybody, I am Esperanza Rodriguez, your teacher, and today I'll be here with you in this 30 minutes in order to talk to you, in order to share or answer you some questions if you need, and in order to remember you the most important topics that we are studying in this course. Remember that in these days you have your exam, and it is important to be clear in different topics. Well, let me show you something. This one. Let me, if it is possible, to show you like this. Well, okay, let me start. Here, semi-sorter. Well, so I'm gonna show you like this. The simple present. Simple present. Simple present. Wait. Then I'm gonna show you like this. Okay, so you gotta pay attention here. Then the different uses of simple present. Well, initially we we use simple present to talk about repeated actions, actions that are commonly happen every day, every weekend. So they are regular. And the other use is to talk about facts or generalizations. For example, to talk about repeated actions, then we use simple present to express the idea that an action is repeated or usual. The action can be a habit, a hobby, a daily event, an scheduled event, or something that often happens. It can also be something a person often forgets or usually does not do. Examples. For example, a habit. Yes, I wake up at 7 in the morning every day. That's a habit. I have breakfast in my house on Sunday. That's a habit. A hobby. I play tennis. I play soccer. I like swimming. This is a hobby. She likes swimming. He loves dancing. In affirmative. She does not play tennis. She or he does not play video games. Or Camila does not dance salsa. The train leaves every morning at 8 a.m. and the train doesn't leave at 9 a.m. So affirmatives and negatives. But we have to remember, okay, this is the first use, that is for repeated actions. I play tennis. When I say I play tennis every day, okay, it's repeated, then it's a habit. She does not play tennis, so it is an action that is not done, but it's a habit. The second use is facts or generalizations, things that always happen in past, in present, in future. That is a general truth. In Spanish we say verdades generales. The present simple can also indicate the speaker believes a fact that is true before is true now and will be true. For example, cats like milk. Birds do not like milk. Windows are made of glass. Windows are not made of wood. This is that usually happens. Birds do not like milk. Well, grammatically, we have to pay attention to he, she, it. They are the third person. He, she, it. So remember that when we are using he, she, it in affirmative ideas, we need to add s or es to the verb. Then he wants, she needs, he goes. Camila loves, Juanito prefers, and we have special rules for everything, for the different verbs. For example, if the verb finishes in x, sh, ss, ch, or o, then you have to add es to the verb. For example, fixes, he fixes the car. It pushes, it pushes. He passes, she catches, he goes. So when we have x, sh, ss, ch, or o, we have to add es to the verb in affirmative ideas. When we have a final y in the verb, for example in fly, for example in cry, we have to erase y and add ies. Fly, flies. Cry, cries. One exception is when you have before the y, you have a vowel. For example, as in play, you have y and you have a vowel. Then it is not the y is not erased, so it is play, plays, pray, praise. That is the rule for the third person. Well, negative and questions. In negative and in questions, we need auxiliary do or does. Remember that do goes with the person with I, we, you, they, and does goes with he, she, it. But we need them only in negative and in questions. For example, in a negative, you say a habit. I don't like apples. It's a habit. Or she doesn't go to the park. That is negative. Then we, you, they don't play games. He, she, it doesn't practice sports. This is negative. In questions, you say do, you, do they, do we, do I. For example, do you like apples? Do they go to school? Do I practice English? So do always goes with I, we, you, they. And does in questions always goes with he, she, it. For example, she, does she go to the park? Does he drive a car? That's the case with do and the verb. You use do and does in negatives and in questions. We have some examples of the use of third person. Third person singular with s or es. For example, he, she, it. He, she, it. He goes to school every morning. She understands English. It mixes the sand and the water. He tries very hard. She enjoys playing the piano. So all of them go he, as they are as they go with he, she, it. Then the verb must go or must have s or es depending on the verb. But it is only in third person in the cases of third person. Well, we have here a chart in which you have affirmative, interrogative, and negative ideas with the verb think, for example. I think, then I think about you. Do I think? Question. I don't think. So negative. You think, do you think, you don't think. He, she, it. Then we have the verb, but we have to add s. He, she, it thinks. And with the question, remember that we use auxiliary does for he, she, it. Does he think? Does she think? And in negatives, we have he doesn't think, she doesn't think, it doesn't think. So, and so on. But the most important is to remember he, she, it goes with a he, she, it goes with a verb, and this verb must have es or es in affirmatives. He, she, it go with auxiliary does. So she doesn't play the piano. And in okay, that is in negatives. In question is does he play the piano? Okay. Well, I want you to remember something about the time expressions. We have there are time expressions that we use only with the simple present. For example, every day, all referring with every. You remember that every in Spanish is cada. Every day, cada día, every Friday, cada viernes, and so on. Every week, every month, every summer, every month, every year. Oh, okay. So all of these expressions with every have a special order in the idea. For example, I go to school every day. I play the piano every Friday. I go to the university every Saturday. So every day, every Friday, every week, every month go at the end of the phrase. And we have other expressions that talk about frequency, and they are the frequency adverbs. Remember them? And always, never, sometimes, usually, hardly ever. And they have a special order in the phrase. And they go after the person. For example, I always go to the park. I never speak French. I sometimes take Transmillennium. I usually study English. Yes, so they go after the person. That frequency adverbs go after the person. I always, I never, I sometimes. He always, he never, he sometimes. But the time expressions like every Friday, every day, every week, every month, every summer go at the end of the idea. This is another thing I want you to remember. Well, here I have another shot that is of frequency adverbs. Remember, this appear very well. Study habits. I go on again and again. Look, well, I always do my homework, and I often ask the teacher for help. You see, then we have the frequency verb after the person. I always do my homework, and I often after the person. Well, I am usually. That is the other case. Verb to be. When you have verb to be, then the verb to be or the frequency adverb goes after the verb to be. I am usually. You are never. She is sometimes. Maybe I need to try to study your habits. Frequency adverbs. Well, we have the different. Okay, they show frequency. Then we have here. He always studies. So it shows 100% of the time. He always. Look at the position of the verb, of the adverb. It's important. Usually, like 90% could be. He usually study. I usually practice. Often. Well, it's frequent too. I often go to the university. I often practice English. Sometimes it's like 50-50. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. He sometimes studies. So one day yes, one day no. One day yes, one day no. He rarely studies. Rare. Rare is raro. Rarely, raramente. It is like 40% or 30%, something like that. Never 0%. But look at the position. Important. The most important is the position of the verb. Adverb. Look with the verb to be. He is sometimes. You are never bored. The students are never bored. And she often checks her answers. Often checks. He usually pays. Yes. The dog eats his homework sometimes. Okay. Sometimes and usually son dos adverbios de frecuencia que se pueden ubicar. Pueden ubicarse al comienzo o al final de la idea. Well, al comienzo generalmente. Look, sometimes the dog eats the homework. The dog sometimes eats the homework. Okay. Study in front of the TV. Then, how can I do it? How can I write this idea, for example? Then I study in front of the TV. If I say according to my own habits, what can I say? Then I always, I usually, I often, I sometimes, I rarely, I never. What do you say? Rarely, or I never study in front of the TV. Yes, I never ask the teacher for help. Then I can say that I sometimes ask the teacher for help. Be early to class. What's the position of that? Then I am always early to class. For example, I am always early to class. I always review my grand notes. I always review. I always review. She never makes flashcards. I am usually attentive in class. That is the use of them. Okay, ever is not important for us right now. Never, yes. I never come late. Look at the position, it's the same. How often is a question to ask for frequency. That is, cada cuánto. How often do you study with a partner? And what is the answer? I never study with a partner. I sometimes study with a partner. I always study with a partner. Yes, so how often is the question in order to ask for frequency? How often? Cada cuánto. And the girl answers, I rarely study with a partner. How often do you study? How often do you study English? Tell me. Example, fall asleep studying. How often do you fall asleep studying? What can you say? I always, I never, I sometimes. How often do you fall asleep? How often are you tired? Look, these are some questions that you can try. And that's it. The end of it. This presentation was okay. So, okay, guys, I would like you to be here, but well, so you weren't here. I hope the other time we can meet.